Drop it like it's another charge on Trump's head. All right, fun power panel for everybody as usual. Cenk, Uygur, John Iadarola, Sharon Reed. Sharon's videos are on TYT Sports. John's videos show and everything else is on Damage Report. Everybody knows it. Now even Marjorie Taylor Greene knows it. So
she could be watching right now, Cenk.
She could be. There's rumors that she's a mem.
Just in case Congress
she's
is watching.
a TYT member. I could confirm or deny those rumors, but I haven't bothered to check. Okay. Anyways, now John's got the news for us, of course. Yes, there's more charges on Donald Trump, but there's so many other things that's happening in the news as well. So let's get right to it, John. What do you got?
Okay, let's do it. We have a little story most people probably haven't heard anything about. You could be forgiven for thinking that Donald Trump is already facing all of the indictments, like all of them that could come. But it turns out that Jack Smith was able to find a few that he wasn't currently facing. And they don't just involve Donald Trump in the classified documents case. And they don't just involve his loyal lackey, Walt Nauta. There's another player that's now been added to this story. So we're gonna give you all the details. It's not looking good. It involves not only more documents that have been stolen, but also an effort to destroy evidence to obstruct the investigation into that theft. We're talking here about a superseding indictment, basically adding additional information to the previous indictment that had already come out in this case. It adds 3 charges: attempting to alter, destroy, mutilate, or conceal evidence, inducing someone else to do so, as well as an additional document. And it is believed that that document is the Iran war plans that were talked about in that incredibly damning audio tape. So we're gonna set that aside for a moment and talk about the effort to destroy evidence and to induce others to do so. And that involves, again, not just the 2 characters that have already been really wrapped up in this story, but also now the property manager of Mar-a-Lago, Carlos de Oliveira. The revised indictment said that late June of 2022, shortly after the government demanded surveillance footage as part of its investigation into Mar-a-Lago, Trump called de Oliveira and they spoke for 24 minutes. At that point, he and Walt Nauta, one of Trump's aides who's already facing many indictments himself, went to a Mar-a-Lago storage room and pointed out the security cameras inside. So they looked at where security footage was stored. They looked at where documents were stored, the tunnel between them and the cameras that were logging this entire area. A few days after that, de Oliveira spoke with Yuscil Taveras, the IT expert at Mar-a-Lago, took him to an audio closet, and there the 2 men had a conversation that was meant to, quote, remain between the 2 of them. Clearly it did not. But anyway, de Oliveira told Taveras that the boss wanted the server deleted, referring to a computer server holding security footage. Taveras objected and said he didn't know how to delete the server and didn't think he had the right to do so. At that point, de Oliveira insisted again that the boss wanted the server deleted, asking, what are we gonna do? I'll add a little bit of that accent, but that's the whole vibe of this story. In any event, the FBI continued their investigation. They clearly have some sort of source. We're gonna get to more of this, but we already know that this is like lackeys of Donald Trump being ordered to try to clean up the mess they'd already made by moving documents out of the area. It is super damning at this point. What do you think?
Yeah, so look, on cable news, they're calling it shocking. We'll get to that in a minute. It's the least shocking thing I've ever heard. It's one of 1,000 crimes that Donald Trump commits on the regular. And him trying to cover up his crimes by deleting evidence in a brazen way is got Trump 101 written all over it. Because most people who are criminals wouldn't do that in the ham-handed way that this was done, because they're better at covering their tracks. But Trump, he's like, I don't know. The government says they got evidence against me on the tapes, and I know that's true. So why don't we just delete them? Because they gave you an indictment. I mean, they gave you a notice not to, and then that would break the law. And he's like, oh, it's Tuesday. Why wouldn't we break the law? So like, that's not surprising, but it is relevant because this one is super easy to prove, and that's gonna get to dominoes, and dominoes is the most important thing here. So let me explain the dominoes. So Yuscil Taveras, as John explained, is the IT guy. He's the one they went to and said, all right, why don't you just delete the server? Let's pause here to take note. that the Republicans chanted, lock her up, all the way back in 2015, 2016. Why? Because Hillary Clinton deleted things from servers. Oops. Okay, we'll come back to that. So Tavares goes, no, I'm not going to delete it. Number one, I actually don't even know how to. Number two, it appears the federal government told us not to, okay? So now Tavares, it appears is, like this is not unclear to the degree to which he is working with prosecutors, okay? But I think he's working with prosecutors. I think that's why they charge Oliveira, right? So now that gives us to Oliveira. Well, Oliveira is in a world of trouble because Tavares is turning evidence against him. And Oliveira told him to delete evidence that the government told them to maintain. That's a serious crime. And Oliveira ain't Trump. There's no MAGA that's gonna rally around him. Everyone around Trump gets fed to the wolves, and Trump doesn't care, MAGA doesn't care, nobody cares. So Oliveira right now is facing a significant jail time. So if he flips, he could flip on Walt Nauta. Nauta is the main assistant to Donald Trump and his main goon that helped him to try to do all these crimes. Well, if Oliveira flips on Nauta, well then Nauta's looking at a lot of time in prison. And again, Trump ain't gonna help him. MAGA's not gonna help him. He's a rando, he's on his own. Now Trump's paying for their lawyers, but the minute they think they're gonna go to jail for about 5, 10, 20 years, whatever the number is, and you'll be able to tell. The minute any of these guys get a new lawyer, oh, that's it, they're turning, okay? And so then if, I don't know that Nauta will turn, because he
seems pretty loyal.
Yeah, he's super close to Trump, right? But if Nauta turns, no, that's when Jack Smith goes, dominoes, mother effers. So now look, there's plenty of ifs built into that. We're not cable news. We're not gonna be like, oh my God, we got him. He's about to go to prison, right? I don't know that he ever goes to prison, but did he do it? Most definitely did it. And is he in trouble if this case goes all the way through? Yeah. I mean, there is a jury. They are going to get the evidence. If you got this kind of evidence against anyone else, they're goners. There might be a MAGA guy or two on the jury and then he skates, who knows? There's 1,000 different ways that he can get off. But right now the evidence is overwhelming. This just piled up another giant layer to it. And most importantly, it sets up the dominoes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And shouldn't we have a breaking news banner up for like the next 6 days or something like the cables do? The only thing I will say is Jack Smith is getting so much praise and he's so great. And maybe he is. But this is, what was alleged here is so dumb. It is a skit that Larry, Moe, and Curly would reject. It's just, it lacks all sophistication that these fools would actually think they could get away with this. It's stunning to me. I think the IT guy ran into a kitchen cupboard and called Jack Smith on a hotline minutes after he was approached, okay? And this thing will blow up, and it appears to me at least that as long as Trump stays in the race, okay, they're going to continue to add charges and pursue him like a grocery list. It's like Jack Smith went into, whatever your grocery store of choice is and said, oh, I got these items. And then his wife called and said, you forgot something. And so we'll keep seeing more and more and more of this, but it is fun to watch Trump squirm and come up with more lies each time Jack Smith reveals something else in a filing that kind of boxes him in. It's fun. It's just fun to watch.
I'm gonna throw out a few more fun details and give both of you a chance, just if you have any thoughts about these. So one, in addition to the charges we've already talked about, De Oliveira has been specifically charged with lying to federal investigators. He told the FBI he knew nothing about the confidential documents, even though the indictment accuses him of personally witnessing the documents when they're being moved around. So it's not just him being tied to Trump, it's his own personal lies to the FBI as well. As I said, they have now finally charged Trump for the possession of those Iran war plans from the audio tape. We had wondered why that wasn't involved in the indictment earlier. It is now a part of it. And I'm also curious what you think about in terms of, like we've been wondering how much of any of these different cases, and Trump is facing so many, will like break through to people as particularly egregious. He's faced a lot, and we're waiting for like January 6th or Fulton County. The document stuff has always been just a little bit like muddled by the fact that Joe Biden did have some documents. He didn't try to keep them from the FBI or anything, and Mike Pence had some documents. But in this case, nobody else is being accused of sending their goons to destroy tapes. I feel like that's almost like a cinematic thing that people get is bad. It almost feels like Jack Smith, like Trump is so easy to manipulate. He could have no reason to believe there's anything on the tapes and just call Trump up and say, I want the tapes, knowing that Trump will immediately try to destroy the tapes. So is this special in some way? The Republicans really aren't responding to it. They don't seem to have to take it seriously at all.
Yeah, so to John's point, there's gonna be a Keystone Cops set of tapes that come out either soon or in the trial. Because remember, the server was not destroyed. So they have the videos of these goofballs going around Mar-a-Lago, maybe like a Benny Hill thing, with all the boxes. They have the videos of them. We have videos of them loading it up onto the plane to take to New Jersey. By the way, MAGA, is Trump also allowed to commit future crimes? Like, I know all past crimes are totally fine, oh my God, Hunter Biden's laptop, but the government asked for all of the documents. There's an excellent chance Trump still has a whole bunch in New Jersey. Can you agree ahead of time that if he has them in New Jersey after government has asked them to turn them over, that would be illegal? No, you'll never agree to it, no way. But yeah, but Hunter Biden, but Hillary Clinton, but Anthony Weiner, but I don't know, no. Trump can commit any future crimes he likes. MAGA gives a preemptive pardon. But the reality is, when you got people on tape moving boxes and they told the FBI that they were not moving boxes, they're in a world of trouble. So it would be shocking if Oliveira didn't go to jail, unless he turns on Nauta and Trump. It would be shocking. There's going to be tape of him carrying boxes. He told the FBI on the record, I never saw the boxes. So I don't know if he gets it, but he's gonna get it soon. And then now on the Trump and him being such a fool, like, the government called on me not to delete any evidence. So Nauta, Oliveira, I want you to go and delete all the evidence. Now you think like, come on, really, can anyone be that dumb? Definitely, definitely. This is what the #1 mistake people make about Donald Trump. They underestimate how incredibly dumb he is. So look, guys, and what a lifelong criminal he is. I remember the story we covered years ago of a Trump Organization executive who had been there a long time, and she explained, look, Donald asks you to commit crimes all the time. Like, so that a simple one was at Trump Tower, they're putting in new elevators and they have to put the buttons in and they have to put Braille on there because for people who are blind, right? And Trump says, it lowers the quality of my building, I don't like it. Okay, and they're like, well, okay, but sad day for us because it's the law, we have to put it in there. He's like, so what? Don't. They're like, that's not a thing, Mr. Trump. Like they'll just come in and tell us right away because there's no Braille and it's not. And he's like, I don't care, do it. That's who he is. He's an idiot who's just like brazenly breaks the law all the time. And if you're wondering why would he, after the government says do not destroy evidence, he literally picks up the phone to Oliveira and talks to him for 24 minutes about destroying evidence. Why would anybody be that stupid? But wait, hold on. Is he that dumb? Because I think he is, by the way, as you can tell. But to be fair to him, he has done this for about 50 straight years, and no one's ever prosecuted him for a goddamn thing. So there's this irony in this story, built into this story, that MAGA does the whataboutism, like, oh yeah, but Biden wasn't charged in this and that, right? But guys, the great whataboutism irony is that Trump was never charged for all of his crimes in business and in politics because he was considered part of the elites. Not only did he have a lot of money, but he gave a lot of money to politicians. They were never gonna charge him, so he thought he was above the law. And he's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I've asked people to delete evidence my whole life, and all of a sudden it's a crime? And yeah, brother, look, in the past, you got to get out of jail free card like every elite person in the country. And yes, the MAGA's a little bit right about this. All of a sudden, you don't have your get out of jail free card. But by the way, if you're MAGA, you should want to tackle the guy. Stop committing crimes, you moron. We think they're targeting you. If they're targeting you, don't go in there and be like, okay, I'd like to do a robbery now. Here, I'm stealing your money. Oh, is it on tape? Well, stop doing that, because then you're serving yourself up on a silver platter. But now it's too late. He did it all over the place. It's on tape. He's in a world of trouble. Look, again, sorry, clarification. The other guys are in a world of trouble. Trump is still part of the elites. Don't worry, MAGA. Very likely will never go to jail. Yes, this is about politics in a sense. Yes, he definitely did those crimes. Yes, a lot of the elites get away with crimes. And yes, they are doing this now because they can't stand Donald Trump and he committed those crimes. But at the end of the day, he's still one of them, not one of you. So they want him to get out of politics, but they're not gonna send him to jail. He's too rich to go to jail.
I think you're absolutely right. And you're right about something else. 50 years practice and protocol, his is proven. And it worked out pretty great. He even got to sit in the Oval Office for 4 years and do more damage. So it's probably going to work out for him in the future. What's curious to me in a case study that I think has to be undertaken for perhaps the decades to come is why so many, not everyone's a bum who climbed on the Trump bandwagon over the decades. What is it about his magic that turns these people out and has them sitting there facing a doomed life and perhaps decades in prison? No one has a wife or a sister or mother who calls them up and says, what are you, nuts? Get away from this guy and turn against him now. He has this hold over people that from the outside looking in and watching him, I don't know that I would want to be in his presence or in one of his elevators with him with no braille for 10 minutes, let alone do his bidding and risk everything. It's stunning to me.
Look, I'll just take a tender guess on that real quick. It's in the past, there was the allure of Donald Trump. He's famous, he's rich, and you want to be part of that. He's the president, he's powerful, all these things. But now there's an extra layer to it because prosecutors let him slide for so long. Michael Cohen turned evidence against him, and then they let him rot in jail, and they never charged Trump. So when people see that, they're like, oh, I guess turning evidence against Trump's a terrible idea, because then you go to jail and he doesn't. So that set an awful precedent. And then finally, like years and years and years later, the Manhattan DA is like, oh, right, we put Michael Cohen in jail for the Stormy Daniels thing. Well, now Trump's running for office now again. We didn't think that was gonna happen, so we're gonna let him slide. But okay, here, let's charge him, him. He definitely did it. Michael Cohen went to prison for it. People think that Manhattan charge is BS. That's like the conventional wisdom. Nonsense. He definitely did it. It was definitely a crime. His co-conspirator went to prison for it. It's definitely a serious charge. It's just that, and if you're wondering why a lot of mainstream media poo-poos that charge, because he broke a campaign finance law.
Yeah.
Almost all of their buddies, all of the politicians flirt with breaking those laws. So they're trying to protect them, not Trump.
We have a couple fun little additional elements. I know you were interested in the mainstream media's response to this. Do you want to tee that up?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're always hyperbolic, right? So we showed you just heard us break down what's possible, not possible, and give nuance to it. Let's see how they handle it.
It's just extraordinary. These allegations rival anything that Richard Nixon was accused of. These are 2 additional counts of obstruction of justice, and this indictment reads like a mafia case. This is a scheme to destroy evidence 3 days after a grand jury subpoena lands on Mr. Trump. It's mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling, shocked, like, oh my God, I can't believe he did this. Of course he did this. He's done this his whole life. I do genuinely wonder, like, and by the way, that's just a representative clip. There's like 12 more just like that. Shocking, what new revelations? Morning Joe gets surprised every time. Oh my God, he tried to delete evidence. This is an unbelievable new revelation.
Cenk, they wake up and pound coffee for 4 hours straight. They're very excitable.
It's the least surprising news in the world. And by the way, we already knew it. We already knew that they were on tape, and we already knew that Trump tried to delete it. But no, like Sharon said earlier, breaking news for 6 days in a row.
That's exactly what they do, and it's this group think, this wash, rinse, repeat type of thing where the same media stands up and they say, oh, justice, when an insurrectionist takes a flagpole and hits a police officer over the head, and he gets 4 years because the judge feels sorry for them. They're not really thinking things through. They're just, like you said, reacting. And Mika's giving those looks to the side, and Joe is, tapping his feet and dancing around. And then they look at the headlines, and this is what they carry throughout the day. And it's really no wonder why people tune it out more and are watching less. And something like a Trump train wreck is more interesting to them to watch him give a press conference. I don't know what to do about that when they just look at a press release and say, yeah, we're good with that. But maybe they are stunned. Yeah. Maybe it is exciting for them.
Yeah. Well, let's have a little bit of fun to close this out. I know Cenk is sure that Donald Trump is an idiot, and he's been caught out by this plot to destroy evidence. But not everyone thinks that this is as bad news for Trump as the mainstream media has been saying. Here's Carrie Lake to make the case.
What are your thoughts on this whole process? The Jack Smith and trying to indict Donald Trump over J6?
Well, every single thing they've thrown at him, he's turned it right back in their face, and he's proven to be right. They're wrong. They're just trying to bring him down, and you can't bring down a giant like Donald J. Trump. And I'll be honest, I think he would welcome that indictment. He would welcome a trial. I think he said it would be the trial of the century. I don't think that when they thought of all of that, and maybe during those meetings with his attorney, the attorneys brought it up and said, do you really want this? Because it's gonna come right back in your face. They're playing checkers, and President Trump is playing, chess at the highest level. So I don't think they want to pick a fight with him.
I now have a new bucket list item. I just want to see Trump try to play chess.
Yes, that's the same thing I was thinking.
Oh, please, I will bet every cent I have against a buck for playing against him.
I suspect my 10-year-old daughter would rock his world in chess.
Oh my God.
And the idea that, Trump brazenly broke these laws so that he could be charged with all of these crimes, so they could be the trial of the century, where he's the criminal of the century that's being tried, so that he could get up and say something. Well, why doesn't he just do a rally and say something? Like, what do you need the whole trial for? And so, no, this is not some elaborate plot by Trump. And no, likely Trump will not testify. So Carrie Lake say, oh yeah, I can't wait to get him on the stand. Are you great? Yes, please testify. Yeah. You're right, oh my God. He's such a grand master at chess. Put him on the stand. You know what he'd do if he was on the stand? Verbal diarrhea. He'd be like, yeah, of course I destroyed the evidence. You don't have any right. I laser beamed the classified documents so they're not classified anymore. So that's why I could destroy them, even though they're already classified. Did I say that? Did I say it out loud? Did the jury hear it? Yes, you schmuck. Oh, please, Carrie, convince him that he's such a genius, he should go on the stand, because that's the only way he goes to prison.
Sharon, thoughts?
And when he doesn't go on the stand, Carrie Lake will be back with her Vaseline lens, and she will tell us that this was also chess. This was also brilliant, because he's too smart for that. And they'll just keep pivoting over and over again.
100%, yeah. Chess, the hell out of here. He's struggling to play Cards Against Humanity. That's what he's playing.
Totally, he's like, I move little knighty to little bishop e3.
King me.
I dare you. I dare Donald J. Trump play chess against anyone. In public, I dare you.
I know that he would probably get off to a slow start with his testimony, but once he starts on like a 40-minute rant about the socks case and about how E. Jean Carroll had a cat named Vagina, then Jack Smith's case is wrecked.
He's so
but
smart.
anyway,
He got this.
We are implying here, and I'll close with this, that he does not have a keen legal mind. But not long before this show went live, he dropped a bombshell on Truth Social, revealing that while sure he might face this classified documents thing, if you've all been waiting for charges on January 6th to happen, they by definition cannot, because as he says, how can deranged Jack Smith bring a case on January 6th, as ridiculous as it is anyway, when I have already won such a case and been fully acquitted in the US Senate? He's saying, did they even do it in the Senate? He like someone mentioned double jeopardy to him and he has no idea what it is. And so he thinks, well, you can only have one case. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think that's how it works.
No, guys, look, if you're a regular person out there, it's not your job to know these legal distinctions. So I'm not addressing this to you guys. I'm addressing it to Donald Trump, who was already president of the United States. The fact that he doesn't know that the impeachment trial is political and has nothing to do with a criminal case against him, that's so deeply embarrassing. Like for the Republicans out there who know anything about anything, aren't you mortified when you see a tweet like that? Or don't you look at it and go, oh my God, he thought that was a criminal trial and he thinks he can't be tried again? Oh, that's humiliating. That's the dumbest thing in the world. Yes, he's that dumb.
My rising sixth grader knows it. I don't know, you might be right that people, we got other things going on. But my rising sixth grader, middle school, they know this, they know a little bit about civics. And it is strange that the guy who waved around the war plans for his friends and supporters doesn't know just the basics of how things work, what's real, what's not, and what he could be facing.
Conveniently, it's time for our first break, actually. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're gonna talk about how hot it's gotten out there, breaking records every day. We'll be right back.
All right, back on TYT, Cenk, John, and Sharon with you guys. John's got more news.
Okay, can we talk about how hot it is out there? I've been dying to talk about how hot it is out there, but we're gonna start with this.
It's getting hot out there, Harold. It's getting real hot. I don't know what's going on with the weather. If the weather is the same thing as the climate, I don't even know that. I don't know who to believe at this point. I don't know if this is normal. I don't know if this is abnormal. I don't know anything anymore. I don't know who to trust. None of these numbers make any sense to me.
Okay, that's Jesse Waters asking a lot of questions about climate and weather, whether this is normal, how to interpret the numbers, and I like it when people are lifelong learners. Now, justifiably, that's pretty basic information, so we're gonna send him some children's books on climate change, and hopefully we'll catch him up on it, but the basics of it is, Jesse, it's hot out there and it's not normal, and the numbers are not that confusing, they're just kind of scary. Here's a chart for you. Take a look at these numbers. The average global surface temperature for the first 23 days of July, going back to 1940, you'll notice a bit of a pattern. It's hard to discern at first, but I've run multiple regressions, and in the end, number go up, Jesse. Number go way up, and that means that it's getting hotter. Since mid-March as well, the world's oceans have been hotter than at any time since at least 1982. And you can see daily global average sea surface temperatures here. The red line, conveniently red, and it makes sense, is 2023. It is hotter than in those just last year, let alone the average, which is quite a bit cooler. And what's interesting about this is that they're commenting on climate change at all in Fox News. Generally, they don't want to acknowledge it because the evidence is hard to ignore. If you're a regular person, if you're a regular conservative, you go out there, you know that it's getting hotter. When there are these reports of people tripping and the ground is so scalding hot that they have to go to the hospital, that's not good. Like, we're rightly focusing on inequality, the new Gilded Age. We're also in the griddle age. We cannot touch the ground anymore outside. And so they were angry about this tweet from Hillary Clinton, who said, hot enough for you, thank a MAGA Republican, or better yet, vote them out of office. And there is something to that. Certainly, Republicans have all 100% for decades refused to admit that climate change was happening, or that if it was happening, it's our fault, or that if it's our fault, we should do anything about it. But to be fair, how much better have the Democrats been? They've done some stuff. Joe Biden had his little climate bill or whatever, but I think there's a lot of blame to go around. What do you both think?
Yeah, so first of all, I appreciate Jesse Waters' honesty there. So we'll take a rare moment of honesty by Trump host there. I'm sorry, a Fox News host there. I really did mean
Still accurate.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know what it is. How about looking it up before you go on air? How about looking it up like 20 years ago before you went on air? It's not that complicated, but I think the Fox News audience likes that. Like, I don't know anything, man.
Yeah.
Weather, climate, I don't know what it is. I know we're all uncomfortable, and I know that we take fossil fuel money, but I don't know anything other than that. I know my job is to kiss their ass and tell you we need more oil, but I'm starting to get a little worried I might die. Yeah, Jesse, now you're beginning to get it, right? Because this is not normal. You know, that chart that John showed you, there's about 200 other charts that all show you the same exact thing. You could talk about, temperatures in general, you could talk about ocean temperatures, you could talk about the glaciers melting. Every chart shows you the same thing. And 99% of the world's scientists didn't make it up. And Jesse, you don't have to know. He's like, I wonder whose job it is to know. Scientists. Here, I can answer that for you, scientists. And do they disagree? No. It's because of big pharma. This has nothing to do with pharma. What? Okay, they have no incentive to lie. They're getting big government contracts. Really? Brazilian scientists are getting government contracts from America? Indian scientists, scientists from Botswana and Indonesia, all of those scientists agree, and they're all getting secretly paid, or they just know how to read a thermometer. Okay, so no, it's definitely happening. There's one other thing that 99% of the world scientists agree on: gravity. Okay, you want to try it out? You want to try it out? You never know what these guys are like. Oh yeah, scientists, like they know science. Okay, me step off building, see what happens. Don't. Even if you're MAGA, please don't, okay? And so, okay, now to the devastation we're in. It's taken a turn, guys. Like, we knew it was coming. The scientists said that it would get here actually a little later. It's gotten here earlier. And El Nino has kicked it up a notch that people did not expect. And so we showed you on earlier shows, the traffic lights are melting in America. They're like melting off of the stand, and the roads are cracking. And now the reason Jesse Waters is saying that on Fox News is because they're getting feedback from right-wing viewers saying, guys, I think this might not be normal. Like, apparently what that segment tells me is there are some bounds to how much you could lie to an audience. Because now the audience, as they're melting, is going, their final words are like, I think Fox might have lied to me, right? And so that's what's happening. And don't get excited. They're not gonna do a big turn. They're still total crooks. Yeah. They're gonna lie to you 24/7, right? But to me, the reason I'm a little bit excited about that is because this feels like the same moment when Tucker Carlson started talking about how big business is so bad. Now, of course, he directed it. Oh, it's because they want you to buy Starbucks coffee. What? And it's because they're too woke and they're too gay and too black and too this, right? But I was like, oh, so your audience is telling you that they don't like big business. Interesting turn of events.
Yeah.
And now I think the audience is starting to tell Fox News hosts, we're worried about the weather or climate. We don't understand it either, but now we're worried, and they should be.
Yeah, it's just that so much damage has been done. I was reading today where there's still time to turn this thing around. It still can be fixed if we'll all just pull together and do some meaningful things. But now you have these what they call climate doubters. They know that this is real, but they don't think because of the damage that the Jesse's Fox News do that we really have a chance to fix this thing. I don't know what Jesse Waters knows or not. I tend to think that when you talk about the ocean waters warming, he thinks that's a good thing. He'll go on vacation, okay, he'll take the plunge and it'll feel soothing and therapeutic to him. But it's a real issue, and I too agree with you, Cenk. I do think that all people now are saying something's going on. It feels like even my tires are melting and have to be replaced sooner on the hot pavement. It's an issue.
Yeah, and it affects people differently. Like it might be that their tires, melt. It might be that Jesse Waters steps onto the deck of his boat and his boat shoes melt to the surface.
Oh.
It's a tragedy and it's in different forms. But anyway, yeah, like conservatives living in Tennessee know that they didn't used to spend months every year under a massive cloud of smoke because all of Canada burned a month ago. Like people can tell that things are changing. The question is, will anything be done and how much longer can they delay actual progress? Democratic Senator John Fetterman has proposed a new bill that would grant striking workers federal food aid through SNAP. Now, you might have thought that that was an option in the past. It was not for decades actually. Since the 1980s, workers on strike cannot access SNAP benefits unless they were eligible before the strike began. The fact that their economic condition might drastically change for weeks, months, a year or longer is not allowed to be a part of that calculation, but progressive lawmakers like Fetterman want to change that. So it's been introduced both in the Senate as well as in the House. Representatives Alma Adams and Greg Casar are doing it in the House. They want to remove that restriction. SNAP recipients would still have to meet income eligibility and other requirements to get the benefits. They would not be like instantly signed up or anything like that. They just would not be barred. Here's what Fetterman had to say about it. Every union worker who is walking the picket line this summer needs to know that we have their back here in Washington. It is critical for us to protect workers' right to organize, and that includes making sure they and their families have the resources to support themselves while on strike. Now, the reason that this needs to happen is because of a law passed in 1981 that changed the requirements for SNAP. It specifically stated that a household could no longer become eligible for benefits at time when any member of the household was on strike. And just pause and think about that for a second. That is amazing. I've been doing this for a while, I think 30 or 40 years. And I guess I'm still a little bit naive because like the representatives of both parties potentially coming together to say, if you're on strike, we want you to starve. And they did it. And it was appealed to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court upheld it. That is amazing. Like we know that the elites have despised workers for a very long time, but I think that's particularly brazen even for them.
Yeah, so I unfortunately am not at all surprised. Look, what I told every congressional candidate who won and was going to Congress that I knew was you have to focus on money in politics, because if you don't, you're not going to get anything passed. And I don't think they quite believed me, and then their actions proved that they didn't believe me. But no, because these guys take corporate cash, of course they're gonna try to get strikers to starve. I don't find that remotely surprising. They will do anything for corporate cash, anything. So like we're trying to tackle all these monumentally important issues first. But we can't. Like we're all climate change. We're gonna get Medicare for all. We're gonna get higher minimum wage. We're gonna get all these things. No, you're not. You're not gonna get any of them because anything that hurts the corporate bottom line has a 0% chance of passing. And then they just do revisionist history anyway. I mean, before the election, Biden, Pelosi, and everyone swore up and down $15 minimum wage is a piece of cake. If we win, we're definitely passing that. The minute they won, they threw it onto the bus. Biden did an interview and said, oh yeah, that's not gonna pass. Because they never meant it. They only do things that corporate cash funds, period. So this Fetterman law is beautiful, but Anna and I had a little bit of a debate yesterday on the show because Bernie introduced $17 minimum wage, just Democrats introduced a wealth tax in the House, and was it theatrics or is it positive? And my answer is both, and I say the same thing about Fetterman. Like it's theatrics in that he's drawing attention to strikers and how they need to be supported, and that this is the right thing to do, and that's good. You should draw attention to that. Is it theatrics in that it's likely not going to pass? Yeah, of course. Like the Republicans are blocking, they'll say strikers, yeah, of course we want them to starve. And then they'll get Fox News to say it, and then all of MAGA will be like, yeah, the American workers suck. wait, what?
But Cenk, what about the right-wing populists?
Right-wing populists.
Surely they'll support it.
Yeah, but look, guys, prove us wrong. Because every once in a while, I'll see on social media, people be like, oh yeah, no, we're all about the American workers. And I even saw some conservatives the other day saying, well, unions aren't so bad. They get us higher wages. I'm like, there you go. Not bad, Dick. Come on, right? You're beginning to get it. But no, at the end of the day, and besides which, even if all of MAGA turned and agreed with us, hey, you should support American workers, the Republican politicians aren't going to do it anyway. Because they don't serve you, they serve their donors. And let's admit it, half the Democrats are full of crap. So the people who signed on to that, I generally believe them that they're gonna do it, but I remember talking to Tim Ryan when he was running for president. And he was one of the co-sponsors for Medicare for All. And I said, if you become president, will you do Medicare for All? He's like, absolutely not. I was like, you're one of the co-sponsors. They lie brazenly all the time. So half the Democrats don't mean it either.
And we allow them to get away with it. That's why they don't care. It's why a studio head can say we want to starve them and have them not be homeless, basically. And did it really get that much attention? Or were people really that outraged? Will anyone make them pay? Probably not. Here we go again. And you're right, it's on both sides of the aisle. And I think Fetterman genuinely means it and cares. But theatrics, I would say 80%, because it's going nowhere.
Yeah, look, as when we do these stories, I always say, prove us wrong. And then that would be great. And then we'll come out and we'll show you the video of us being wrong and we'll laugh about it. We'll say, look at Cenk, what a knucklehead. He thought the Democrats were corrupt. Turns out they fought like hell for this provision and they got all the corporate Democrats to sign on. And so Cenk, are they really corporate Democrats? Look at how they stood up for the strikers. And then they went and targeted the purple district Republicans in the House and they did so much pressure and they got them to flip and they passed it. Go ahead, do it. They're not gonna do it. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it, but I'd love to be proven wrong. It hasn't happened in 25 years on these issues.
Yeah.
So.
We're gonna take our second break, more to come.
All right, back on TYT, Cenk, John, Sharon, Toby Richard, Aaron Noel DiCarlo, Mr. Sarlander. They all just became members, and if you're a member, you do this show with us. You power this show. You're our strength. And then look at these folks, Sweet Dane Dragon, Gabby Mathis, and Canadian Moose Rider, all gifted 5 Young Turks memberships on YouTube. I love it when you guys help the community. And then I love hearing the comments of people saying, oh my God, I get a gifted membership out of nowhere, I'm so happy. So way to stick together, guys. All right, John.
Gifting membership is just so nice. It literally only goes to other people. What a nice thing to do.
Yep.
We have a great community. Anyway, let's have some drums, starting with this.
The yeas are 213 and the nays are 209. With 6 answering present, the resolution adopted. Without objection, the motion to consider is laid on the table.
So you can obviously hear the chanting by Democrats of shame as Kevin McCarthy finalizes the censuring of Adam Schiff last month. That is, of course, a video of the Democrats standing up for their colleague. It's also a demonstration of what Kevin McCarthy has become. He's dreamed his entire life, 80, 90 years of becoming the Speaker of the House. And now he just has to do whatever the craziest people in the country tell him to do. And as that was going on, it actually got even more heated and more personal, as you'll see in this video.
I will begin again. By its adoption of House Resolution 521, the House has resolved that the House of Representatives censures Adam Schiff.
You're weak. You're pathetic.
That is Representative Swalwell yelling that he is weak. He is pathetic for the reasons that we've already said. Kevin McCarthy does not of himself want to do this. He has to do this, either because it's been demanded by the radicals in his caucus, or because, well, I guess Marjorie was censured, so now we just have to start censuring people in the same way that because Trump was impeached, now we have to impeach Joe Biden. The Democrats always have to suffer the mirror image of the sins of Republicans before them, but that was not actually the end of it. They continue to interact, Swalwell and Kevin McCarthy. According to reports, McCarthy was visibly upset with Swalwell. Quote, he had a vein popping out of his forehead. Apparently, McCarthy stared down Swalwell for about 10 seconds before walking away. And that could have been the end of it, but it was not. The next day, actually, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Capitol Hill for a joint address. And before Modi took the speaker's podium, Swalwell was once again on the House floor, making his way to a bathroom when he was suddenly confronted by Kevin McCarthy. McCarthy said, if you ever say something like that to me again, I'm gonna kick the S out of you, according to another member of Congress. You can define that for yourself. Another member who witnessed the exchange said they were in each other's faces, basically nose to nose. And Swalwell said something like, are we really gonna do this? This is like an exact replica of a scene from Cobra Kai. But anyway, they're full-grown men, they're members of Congress. McCarthy issues a challenge, call me a P again and I'll kick your A. Now both members told nearly identical versions of the story. They both delivered Swalwell's response in exactly the same way. U-R-A-P. Damn, gauntlet thrown down. But apparently Kevin McCarthy just stared at him for a while and then walked away. So look, I know that there might be a inclination to just have fun with this. I want to start with the substance. If they were to fight, Swalwell would definitely kick his butt, right? Come on, am I just in a bubble? But I look at Kevin McCarthy and he is clearly one of the weakest human beings in the world. No?
Yeah, I guess Swalwell would win, but like
I want you to bet me.
Okay, I don't care at all. I don't care.
My money's on Swalwell.
Okay, yeah, and
he's gonna win. And the other thing about it is he'd win on the passion side too, because what is McCarthy really? He wouldn't even know what he's fighting for. But I wouldn't mind at this point. They've got to release this energy, go MMA style. One of the Paul brothers could train him, and just let's get it over with. If this is what we're doing. Because I don't know what movie you named. I don't really watch a lot of movies. To me, it was more Marlo and Kenya on The Real Housewives of Atlanta kind of situation. They hit below the belt and do this kind of dirty thing. But no business is getting done there, okay? No business is getting done. They gotta get it on MMA style.
Okay, well, we'll find out if there's the rumors are true that he's swole well. Okay, seriously though, look, to Sharon's point, all this censuring and expunging the impeachments and impeaching Joe Biden for having the name Joe Biden, they're just all totally useless semantics, theatrics, etc. And why do they do that? For a couple of reasons. Now I'm talking about Republicans, I'll get Democrats in a second. They do it to satisfy their base. Oh, don't worry, we hate Joe Biden. We're gonna impeach him. And you guys have already shown we don't need any evidence. You guys hate evidence. If we showed evidence, you'd probably go boo us. Boo, right? So do we have evidence that Joe Biden did anything wrong? Of course not. We don't need it. Do we have evidence that Adam Schiff did anything wrong? No, but we call him Shifty Schiff or whatever. So okay, we're gonna censure him. Yeah, go ahead. Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter at all, right? So I'm not like some Democrats are like, oh, can you believe they censored him? Who cares? This is all just like third grade nonsense. The only thing I care about is, are you helping the American people or aren't you? And we're not anywhere near helping the American people. The Republicans don't want to. And the second reason the Republicans do it is, yeah, their base loves it, and they don't want to pass any laws that help the American people. So if they didn't do this, they'd literally be doing nothing. So they're like, oh, I got a great idea. Let's just insult the Democrats all day long, and that way that'll distract our base, and they won't notice that we haven't helped them 1%. We haven't even tried to help them. We haven't proposed a single thing that would help them. Brazenly, right? Okay, so that's that. And then in terms of the Democrats, that's why I wanted to do this story. So I think there's something fantastic in this story, and we've got more examples coming up in a second. But I've been covering politics for, unfortunately, now 25 years, right? Maybe even longer than that. And I've never seen the Democrats fight. like ever. So this is an incredibly welcome development, if you ask me. And I'm gonna tell you why I think they're doing it. But for 98% of the time I've been covering politics, Republicans will slap a Democrat across the face, proverbially, rhetorically, politically, ideologically, and sometimes physically. And the Democrats will be like, thank you, sir, may I have another? I'm so civil, I'm the most civil person, did I win? Meanwhile, they're bleeding out and stuff. And then the Republicans will stand over them and go, I'm gonna sit there and bleed all day. And they go, oh, yes I am, yes I am. So the fact that they're fighting back, what? It's a new day in America. Like Democrats haven't fought in at least a quarter of a century, but it might be now 40, 50 years since they've ever fought a Republican.
Yeah.
So that's a great development. And by the way, why are they doing it? For two reasons. One, I think that they're human and actually had enough of the Republicans being so extreme and just insulting them in every insane way. And before they used to be like, well, these are our allies, these are our friends, and we want the Republican Party to be stronger because we're about to cut a corporate deal with them in a second while you're not looking. But now they're not even cutting those deals, and all the Republicans are doing is just eviscerating them in the most disgusting way. So they reach a little bit of a limit. So that's partly it. Then there's a tiny aspect of it that some of these folks are Justice Democrats, not Swalwell, but Cori Bush and some of the others, and they're not funded by corporations. So they're like, wait, I don't get it. Why are we letting them hit us over and over again? And the reason that there is a reason for that, because if the Democrats ever tried to fight back, their corporate donors would be like, don't you dare, okay? You have to work with those guys to give me tax cuts. And they're like, yes, sir, right away, sir, right? But now the biggest reason why they're fighting back, because they notice, oh, when you fight back, it gets in the news, and then I raise a lot more money from the grassroots. It's always the money, Lebowski.
Yeah, I mean, Schiff raised like over $1 million, I think, immediately after he was censured.
100%.
Yeah.
Swalwell, that's why, you know who's leaking these stories? The Democrats are. Like the Democrats are like, oh yeah, did you hear? Did you hear? Swalwell called him a P word, you know what I'm saying? Like he's weak, you know that one. And they're like, wait, that's not a word you guys use anymore, right? And they're like, who cares? Who cares? Tell the grassroots. Tell the grassroots we're gonna raise some money. But I'll take it. I'll take Democrats fighting back under any circumstance.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Look, they still obviously, including Schiff and them, they raised tons of money from corporations, as we've said, but now they have at least the hypothetical ability to raise money directly from people. That is now an option when you do this sort of thing, when you fight. They can potentially do that, and so it's more of a financial incentive. They used to just run on bipartisanship and unity and all of that nonsense that they really care about and most people don't, but now there's another option. And there's a dark side to that. If it's inspiring needless conflict between individuals, and obviously we see, what the Lauren Boeberts and the Marjorie Greens do to raise money, it's absolutely despicable. But yes, it is good to see them fighting back for once.
Yeah, 100%. And so look, we're running out of time, so I'll just tell you, Cori Bush yelled out that Steve Scalise was a racist in the middle of Congress as he was presenting their plans to cut the budget. And she's got some good reason to say that. They're gratuitously like ending a Latino museum just because they want to say we hate Latinos. They're trying to take a diversity, equity, inclusion out, etc. I don't think that was the most productive way for Cori to do it or Congresswoman Bush to do it. But I like that they're fighting back. And then Mark Pocan called the Republicans a bigot when they were discussing specifically the issue of how they put in anti-LGBTQ provisions in the funding bills, and I thought that was productive because it was in the context of that conversation, and they had that coming for a long, long time. And I'm glad that he pushed back on that and he gave specific examples. He backed up what he was saying, so I like that one a lot. So, but overall, the tenor is we've had enough, and we're actually going to counterpunch, and I am thrilled with that development. Sharon.
I am too. I think if you have to be on this never-ending reality show unwillingly, then you don't have to become them, but you do have to employ some of the tactics. I'm looking online, I'll buy the t-shirt, you are a P. If he's selling it, I'll buy that t-shirt because there has to be some pushback and you have to get on your toes and not be on your heels all the time. And you don't have to, again, become what the other side is, but you do have to, Bob, we adjust. And I think that that's exactly what's going on here, somewhat.
All right, we are unfortunately out of time in the first hour, but we got an amazing second hour coming up for you guys, including more Steven Crowder madness, the stuff that he was doing to his employees and the reverberations, et cetera. Just a fun story. And then we got more politics, of course, as well. But check out Sharon on TYT Sports. Check out John on Damage Report. Thank you guys. We appreciate it. And we'll be right back. Thanks for listening to the full episode of The Young Turks. Support our work, listen ad-free, access members-only bonus content, and more by subscribing to Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT. I'm your host, Cenk Uygur, and I'll see you soon.